Have you ever looked up from your phone and realized your dog has been staring at you? Not glancing at you, not watching the room, just sitting there, eyes locked on you. And once you notice it, the questions begin. Does he want something? Is she hungry? Did I forget the walk? Or is your dog actually trying to tell you something? The interesting thing is, there isn't just one answer. Dogs use their eyes as part of communication, and the exact same stare can mean very different things depending on what's happening around it. Sometimes they're asking for something. Sometimes they're waiting for something. Sometimes they're watching you for clues. And sometimes your dog may simply enjoy looking at you. So the next time those eyes lock onto yours, don't just look at the eyes. Look at the whole conversation, because your dog may be telling you much more than you realize. So why does your dog watch you so closely? Think about your dog's day for a moment. Who decides when breakfast appears? Who reaches for the leash? Who opens the door? Who starts the game? Usually, you do. That makes you a pretty important person to watch. Dogs can become remarkably good at noticing the little signals that predict what's about to happen. You might walk toward a particular cupboard, and your dog knows that's where the treats live. You reach for a certain pair of shoes, and suddenly they're waiting near the door. You haven't said, "We're going for a walk," but somehow they already know. Dogs pay attention to our movements, gestures, and routines for information about what might happen next. So sometimes that mysterious stare isn't mysterious at all. Your dog is watching the person who controls many of the interesting things in their world and waiting for the next clue. But what if the stare is actually a question? Imagine you're sitting on the couch. Your dog walks over, sits down, and stares. You look back. Nothing. Then your dog looks toward the door. Back at you. Then toward the door again. Now the message becomes easier to understand. Can we go outside? Dogs can learn that looking at us gets our attention, especially when they combine that stare with other behaviors. Maybe your dog walks toward the leash. Maybe they bring you a toy. Maybe they stand beside their food bowl. And sometimes, we accidentally teach them just how powerful staring can be. Imagine you're eating dinner. Your dog stares. You resist. The stare continues. You resist again. Then you finally give them a tiny piece. Your dog just learned something important. Staring at the human can work. When staring repeatedly leads to food, play, attention, or another reward, there's a good reason for your dog to try it again. So those irresistible puppy eyes at the dinner table? You may have helped create that strategy, but sometimes they aren't asking for anything. What if there's no food, no leash, no toy? Your dog may still watch you because you're worth watching. Dogs living closely with people become familiar with our routines, movements, voices, and behavior. They may watch when we're getting ready to leave. They may check what we're doing when something unusual happens. And sometimes they may simply be looking for interaction. But this is where context becomes incredibly important. A relaxed dog making soft eye contact with someone familiar is very different from a dog staring while their entire body becomes tense. Same behavior on the surface. Very different message underneath. So how can you tell what the stare actually means? Don't just watch the eyes. Look at everything else. Is your dog's body loose? Is their face relaxed? Are they approaching you comfortably? Maybe they're waiting for attention or anticipating something enjoyable. Now, imagine another dog. The eyes are fixed. The mouth becomes tight. The body becomes still. Maybe they're standing over a favorite chew or something they don't want you approaching. That is a completely different conversation. A prolonged hard stare combined with stiff, tense body language can indicate that a dog is uncomfortable and wants space. In that situation, staring back or moving closer isn't a good idea. And this is especially important around dogs you don't know. Never assume that a dog staring at you means, "Come pet me." Instead, look at the whole dog. Eyes, ears, mouth, tail, posture, movement. The stare gets its meaning from everything happening around it. And what about that quiet stare dog owners often love? You're relaxing together. Nothing exciting is happening. No dinner, no walk, no toy. Your dog is comfortable beside you. and simply looks at you. Could that be affection? It can certainly be part of a relaxed, positive interaction between a dog and someone they trust. Research has also found an interesting connection between positive mutual gazing in dogs and humans and oxytocin, a hormone involved in social bonding. But that doesn't mean every stare translates to, I love you. Dogs don't come with subtitles. The rest of their behavior still matters. A soft gaze from your relaxed dog beside you isn't the same as an unfamiliar dog freezing and staring from across the room. Similar eyes, very different conversation. But how does your dog seem to know what you're about to do before you even do it? This is where things get really interesting. Your dog has had a lot of practice watching you, and humans are probably more predictable than we realize. Maybe every evening you close your laptop, stand up, and eventually reach for the leash. After enough repetition, your dog may not need to see the leash anymore. Closing the laptop itself can become a clue that something interesting is about to happen. Maybe opening one particular cupboard predicts dinner. Picking up one bag predicts a trip outside. Changing into certain clothes predicts that you're leaving. Dogs can learn associations between ordinary cues and what happens afterward. So when your dog sits across the room watching your every move, they may not be waiting for you to speak. They're watching all the little things you don't even realize you're saying. But can staring ever mean something is wrong? Most staring at an owner makes sense once you consider attention, anticipation, communication, and body language. But there's an important difference between a dog staring at you and a dog repeatedly staring blankly at a wall or into empty space. One strange moment doesn't automatically mean there's a problem. Dogs can notice sounds, smells, and movements that we completely miss. But repeated, unexplained staring episodes, especially alongside confusion or other unusual changes in behavior, are worth mentioning to your veterinarian. In older dogs, for example, staring into space can sometimes occur alongside other signs of cognitive decline, while unusual staring episodes can have other medical explanations. The important thing is not to panic over one strange moment. Look for patterns. Look for other changes. And if something seems genuinely different about your dog, get it checked. So, why does your dog stare at you? Maybe dinner is approaching. Maybe the leash is still hanging on the wall. Maybe they've learned those puppy eyes eventually earn your attention. Maybe they're studying your movements to figure out what happens next. Maybe they're enjoying a quiet interaction with someone familiar, or maybe their body language is telling you they'd rather have some space. The eyes alone don't give you the answer. The situation does. And once you start noticing what happens before, during, and after your dog's stare, those mysterious looks become much easier to understand, because your dog may not speak your language. But that doesn't mean they aren't communicating with you. So the next time you catch your dog staring, don't immediately respond. Watch what happens next. Do they glance toward their food, walk toward the door, bring you a toy, or simply stay there comfortably looking at you? You might discover that you and your dog have been having little conversations without even realizing it, and if you enjoy discovering what your dog's behavior actually means, subscribe to Paws Cosmos. There's a lot more our dogs can teach us. Until next time, see you around the cosmos.